Since 2012, Stone Bank has honored almost 100 veterans at monthly events, in special ads, and in custom calendars. Each of the honored veterans were presented an American flag, flown over the United States Capitol. On or about Veterans Day each November, the bank hosts a Veterans Appreciation Day at the Stone Bank Pavilion, featuring dignitaries, patriotic music, and a barbecue lunch for all who attend. This year, we honor our veterans with an online tribute. Welcome to the Stone Bank Veterans Tribute 2020.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
So I wouldn't close the hatch down. General Patton says, "Close that hatch down, soldier." I said, "No, sir, I'm going to see what's out there." "It's your head, soldier." John MORROW, Army, T5. I was a driver. Half track to start with, switched over into the tanks. I was a tank driver under Patton. I started out, the first battle I was in was driving a half track with 81 millimeter mortar mounted in, and we had 7 of those. That was our artillery for that particular company. Then they had several tank drivers to get killed or badly wounded, so they came. There was 5 of us in our company that had gone to Fort Knox to take basic training to start with in a tank, driving tanks. So they came on just to transfer into the tanks out of the half tracks. And I was the first tank across the Rhine River once we got to the Rhine River and the bridge was all knocked out. People made the bridge, but engineers made that bridge. I was the first tank on it. And I just knew that thing was going to sink with us right out in the middle of that river. It just kept going down and down and down. Finally it leveled off and looking out in the front of you, that bridge was like this. I thought, oh my, we ain't going to go up that. But as you crawl along, the bridge goes down in the front of you. I was able to tell you, the first battle I was in, I got flash burn in my eyes. I was in the hospital for 6 weeks. The doctor dropped something in my eyes 3 times a day. And my eyes kind of, it was like looking through not real muddy water, but muddy water, you know, when it happened. So at the end of 6 weeks, my eyes had cleared up pretty good, and I asked the doctor about going back to the unit, and he said, "I'll let you go. But he said, you better be mighty careful about getting something in your eyes because they're very sensitive, and if you get something in it, it'll be worse than this burn." I was wounded 5 times during all the war. I was one of these guys that had very little sense, I guess you'd put it. I didn't want to close the hatch down on that tank. I don't know if you know anything about the sitting at the driver's seat in a tank. If you're looking through this prism, you're only seeing like this. But you don't see what's over here and what's over here. I'd seen bazookas knock these tanks out over here to my right. The guys that was looking through here didn't see them. So I wouldn't close the hatch down. General Patton says, "Close that hatch down, soldier." I said, "No, sir, I'm going to see what's out there." "It's your head, soldier." That's the only time he ever said anything to me about it. It meant a great deal because we were fighting for our freedom. It was a lot of work, a lot of hard work. I was started out at 20 years old, and I went in 42 and got out in 45.
through stern impassioned stress, a thoroughfare for freedom be across the wilderness. America, America, God meant thine every flaw. Confirm thy soul with self-control, thy liberty in law.
I enjoyed it. I really, really did. Look back, hindsight, I wish I'd have stayed in. Milton Wolf, my branch of military included 5 years Army National Guard and 4 years active Air Force. And my rank in the Air Force was Staff Sergeant. In the National Guard, I was out of Missouri, 203rd Battalion. We were anti-aircraft artillery, and I was an intelligence specialist, and we were dealing with the Nike missile systems. In the Air Force, I was stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base, my favorite. I was a aviation electronics specialist and navigation equipment. But I did learn a lot, had a lot of friends from all over the country, and it was a real good experience for me. You know, I know a lot of my teammates got transferred out and went overseas at a bomber base, so you're not on the front lines with a machine gun or something shooting at you. But still, I did not go overseas. I don't even, well, I do. I know what the Pacific Ocean looks like coming out of San Diego. That's as far as I go. So I don't know what's out there. But I enjoyed it, you know, up through the Vietnam War and a little after. You had a number assigned. If that number came up, you're gone. You could be here, there, or in the battle zone. And I think, you know, why not say thanks to them? And I didn't go after I got out of the service until about 8 years ago, something like that. I didn't go to the VA. I figured these guys that were coming home needed that. I had a job, I had an insurance, and I didn't go. So now I do use the service of the VA to some extent, but I don't know. I just think they need to be given a pat on the back and say, thank you, thank you. The Air Force used 30 caliber carbines. The easiest weapon in the world to learn to tear down and slap together. So I'm in this classroom at the back, and they have the drawing and all this stuff up on the board, and you know, sergeants like to have their way. So I'm back there, and he says, we're gonna tear this down, we're gonna do this, okay. It's all laid in pieces. All of a sudden, I get a slap at the back of the head. Turn around, what? Now what are you gonna do with it? Now that you got it apart, let's see you put it together. There. Oh, I said I only did that for 3 years, now what do you want? Well, that got me on good terms with him. We flew, our B-47s flew out of Whiteman Air Base over to Vietnam. Our B-47s transferred to a electronics jamming unit. And so their missions weren't going over there and dropping bombs. It was going over there covering for the B-52s and dropping this Chad so the ground radar couldn't find them as they come over to bomb. So, and those B-52s came out of Hawaii and Japan and wherever. They weren't there on the ground, but they did their job. So the Air Force did a great job. So, and I'm proud to have been there.
Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness and every gain divine.
When somebody comes up and tells you, I appreciate your service, that means something. You know, when Stone Bank does a program to honor veterans, that means something to the vets. My name is Joel Breeding. My service was with the U.S. Army, a little over 30 years, and I retired as a colonel. After graduating college, I received a commission in the Army Reserve as a second lieutenant. My branch was Adjutant General Corps in the Army, which is personnel and administration. After a quick 8-week course in the Army school, I was assigned to Fort Walters, Texas as a personnel officer. When I got close to my 2-year detail being up, this was been 1963, some trouble they anticipated in Vietnam. I got a telegram assigning me to MACV headquarters in Saigon. I had to go to the library to find out where Vietnam was, and got the details on it. I had a month and a half left at Fort Benning, and our unit deployed to Oxford, Mississippi because of an integration issue, and we spent the last month of my infantry duty in Oxford, and I was transferred out of Oxford in a helicopter back to Fort Benning to process to go to Vietnam. I was assigned a mobilization designee position, which is, most military people are not aware of what that is even. It was the slang term was for hip pocket orders. I was assigned to a post that I would go and do at least 2 weeks training for a gentleman who's there in case the big balloon goes up. An all-out war, as in World War II, you know. I would have 24 hours to get there, take his position, and he would process out with whatever units were on post. And I had to do that, or got to do that, I guess, for 20 years. Well, in most cases, particularly those in the Vietnam area and ones who are going through the deserts in Afghanistan, and they sacrificed something to be there. And now it's not a draft situation. They volunteered. They chose to do that, and they chose to do it for us, the civilians on the outside. And you spend some hairy times in the military. You You don't know what to expect. And who was it said, Senator Fulbright said, you know, the bad thing about war is people get killed. And that is a possibility. But they need to be appreciated for what they did for us. I think everybody would benefit from some military service. When I enrolled in college, I was working my way through, no scholarships and nothing. And I ended up working mopping floors. And the first 2 years, ROTC at that time was mandatory. You had no choice. And so that's what I took ROTC. But the last 2 years, you get paid $100 a month or something, but that made a difference to me. So I signed up for advanced ROTC. It helped get you started. High school kids, a lot of times don't know immediately what they're going to do, may not have the resources or the desire to go to college. They need to invest. They get benefits, they get good training, get job experience, and it's a good way to kickstart your life.
Oh, beautiful for a patriot dream that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
43. I had turned 17 2 or 3 months before that and was already in the Naval ROTC, but they didn't get in any big hurry. I was there and I wasn't going anywhere. Anyway, my name is Bill Rape. I came into the Navy through the Notre Dame Naval ROTC. That's how I came. My dad was in the infantry and he remembered France, and when the war started, and my older brother and I went through school. I started a year earlier. I was as big as my brother, so the nun says, "You all look like twins." So I just stayed. Well, I went all the way through school and everything, a year ahead of myself. I was a lieutenant commander. That's how I retired. No, when I was first commissioned, barely 19, I was an ensign. That's like second lieutenant, in the other service. And of course, I went on the ship. I was the youngest officer on the ship. There were about 125, 150 officers on the battleship, about 2,500 men to man a battleship. And it was a very good experience. Of course, I didn't get in on that much because of just the way time went. I was young anyway. Like I said, all the guys that were charged of were older than me. But they were very nice to the young man. I went in, that was my date of entry. Then I was commissioned in, it was right around Christmas time of 44. See, we went through college in 2 years and 8 months in those days. Same thing, the academy and other things did that. You went to school all the time. You had 3 semesters a year. So I graduated from Notre Dame and got my degree in engineering and then was commissioned because we were on active duty. You know, we weren't midshipmen. They didn't let us have a rank. So we found out early in the war that we wouldn't be having any battles battleship to battleship. It was going to be, you didn't see the enemy, the pilots did. But what we did was we were anti-aircraft guard for the carriers, and we had a tremendous amount of anti-aircraft fire, which we ran into right up before I came on board. See, I came on board late in the war, as you can imagine, looking at all that time. So we didn't have a single Japanese air attack on us after I got aboard. Oh yes, yeah, it was, well, first of all, it was a privilege as well, but you learn so much. The experience itself, I had an awful lot of experience in the 3 different ships I was on in different conditions. See, in the Korean thing, I got a whole lot more experience because I was not, you know, I'd had the World War II experience, even though, like, well, just like officer of the deck underway on a battleship, that's no small responsibility. And nobody on the New Jersey had ever been top watch on a battleship. Well, I was never qualified because I was just a young ensign, you know. But I got notified that I qualified, right? Mr. WRAPE, you got the first watch in the morning. We're going to get underway to do some trials, you know. And even the captain, he was an old destroyer sailor, you know. And so you learn fast. As a matter of fact, I never endured being shot at, but one time on the New Jersey, we pulled into Wonsan Harbor. See, we always had Commander 7th Fleet aboard our ship, his 3-star admiral, and we were always the flagship. And I think the admiral just wanted to go in there and see what would happen. So we pulled in Wonsan Harbor, and they started shooting at us. They had hills on the side with caves in it. They'd roll these 75 millimeter guns out and shoot at us. And we had one guy killed. He wasn't very far from me either. Well, I just think when you get old and you're reminiscing, it's a sense of feeling that you're not forgotten what you did. Well, of course, as you know from my story, you might as well say I didn't do a damn thing but sign up. But anyway, I think it's, well, the thing you think about more and that I think about today is that people don't have any idea about World War II, what went on. They don't think of the fact that their 400,000 didn't come home. That's a lots of guys and gals. Well, first of all, to appreciate what they have. The blessing, that's in my prayers every night, is thank God for being born, life itself to start with. But the thing about it is, there's so many unsung heroes. Nobody saw it. You see, some people that have gotten the Medal of Honor because the people saw what they did and had notice paid to it. Of course, it might have been a year. We have one every now and then that goes way back to World War II. Most of the time, though, today it's in the smaller wars from Korea and Vietnam and on up. But I think of those guys. They didn't think about themselves. It needed to be done, and they did it. And most of us wonder if we'd have been quite that dutiful. You see them over there and they're all shooting at you, what are you going to do? But again, I'm terribly embarrassed to have this done for me. But I thank the bank for doing what they're doing, because it's going to get forgotten. And the sacrifice of this country all over is not remembered or appreciated, even in the world, out there in the world. And so I'm thankful, for doing it.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you for joining us and helping honor our veterans. It's our privilege to honor those who served.